For 3 years, Marco Bianchi had built an unshakable wall around his heart. Everyone at Bianchi Manor knew clearly the unspoken rule. No personal relationships, no romantic involvement, absolutely no exceptions. Marco, one of the most feared and respected mafia bosses in the entire city, maintained strict, disciplined control over every aspect of his life, especially anything connected to matters of the heart. 3 years earlier, Marco's fiancée Isabella had betrayed him completely, secretly working alongside a rival family, using their engagement simply as a means to gather sensitive information. The betrayal had cut deeply, leaving Marco emotionally guarded, determined never again to allow vulnerability or genuine affection to compromise his judgment or control. Since then, Marco had avoided women entirely, maintaining strictly professional, distant relationships with every female staff member employed within his household. His guards understood clearly, and even the household staff whispered quietly among themselves regarding Marco's cold, unapproachable demeanor toward anyone remotely resembling romantic interest. Everything changed unexpectedly the day Sofia Martinez arrived as the newest housemaid at Bianchi Manor. Sofia was warm, genuine and refreshingly unfiltered, qualities immediately evident from her very first day working within the elegant, often tense atmosphere of Marco's household. She approached her responsibilities with genuine enthusiasm, treating every task, no matter how small, with careful dedication and cheerful energy. "You'll be responsible for organizing Mr. Bianchi's private study," Mrs. Alvarez, the head housekeeper, instructed carefully during Sofia's first day. "Be respectful, professional, and maintain appropriate distance at all times." Sofia nodded eagerly, though curiosity lingered regarding the serious warnings surrounding her new employer. "Is Mr. Bianchi particularly strict?" she asked innocently. Mrs. Alvarez hesitated slightly before responding carefully. "Mr. Bianchi values professionalism above all else, especially regarding personal boundaries. It's best to remain respectful and businesslike in his presence." Sofia absorbed this cautious advice thoughtfully, determined to make a positive first impression despite the intimidating reputation surrounding her powerful new employer. Later that afternoon, as Sofia carefully organized books within Marco's private study, she hadn't realized Marco himself had quietly entered the room, watching curiously as she hummed softly to herself, completely unaware of his intimidating presence nearby. "You seem cheerful for someone working within my household," Marco observed calmly, his deep voice startling Sofia into sudden, clumsy surprise. Sofia turned quickly, nearly dropping the books she carefully balanced in her arms. "Mr. Bianchi," she said nervously, quickly composing herself. "I apologize. I didn't realize you were here." Marco studied her carefully, genuine curiosity evident despite his usual controlled, serious demeanor. "No need to apologize," he said calmly. "I simply found your humming unexpected." Sofia smiled sheepishly, embarrassment flushing her cheeks slightly. "Sorry, sir. I tend to hum when I'm concentrating. Old habit." Marco's lips twitched slightly, an unfamiliar hint of amusement flickering briefly across his usually serious expression. "It's not unpleasant," he admitted quietly, surprising even himself with the unexpected compliment. Sofia blinked, clearly startled by his casual, unexpected warmth. "Thank you, sir," she replied, genuine surprise evident in her voice. Marco quickly composed himself, clearing his throat awkwardly, uncomfortable with the unfamiliar warmth he'd just displayed. "Carry on with your work," he said, more formally this time, before quickly retreating from the room, clearly unsettled by his own unexpected reaction. Sofia watched him leave, curiosity and confusion mixing within her thoughtful expression. She had heard whispered warnings regarding Marco's cold, distant nature, yet the brief interaction they'd just shared felt surprisingly genuine, warm, and unexpectedly human. Over the following days, Sofia continued her responsibilities diligently, occasionally crossing paths with Marco throughout the mansion. Each time Marco found himself unexpectedly drawn towards Sofia's genuine warmth, cheerful energy, and refreshing authenticity. Qualities he hadn't encountered in years, especially not since Isabella's painful betrayal. One afternoon, while organizing files within Marco's study, Sophia accidentally knocked over a delicate glass vase, sending it crashing loudly onto the hardwood floor, shattering completely into countless pieces. "Oh no," Sophia gasped, clearly horrified by her clumsy mistake. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Bianchi. I'll replace it immediately." "I promise." Marco, hearing the loud crash, rushed quickly into the room, his expression initially sharp with concern before softening slightly upon seeing Sophia's clearly distressed, apologetic reaction. "It's all right," he said calmly, surprising both Sophia and himself with his unexpectedly gentle response. "It's really not," Sophia insisted anxiously, kneeling quickly to begin carefully cleaning the shattered glass. That vase looked expensive and important. Marco knelt down beside her, gently helping clean the broken glass, his usual serious, controlled demeanor replaced momentarily by unexpected warmth and patience. "It was a gift from someone no longer significant in my life," he explained quietly. "Honestly, I'm glad to see it gone." Sophia paused, glancing curiously toward Marco, sensing clearly a deeper, more personal story behind his casual explanation. "Are you sure you're not just saying that to make me feel better?" Marco's lips curved into a small, genuine smile, surprising himself completely with the unfamiliar warmth he suddenly felt in her presence. "Perhaps a little," he admitted honestly, "but mostly I mean it sincerely." Sophia smiled warmly, genuine gratitude evident in her expression. "Thank you, Mr. Bianchi. That's kind of you to say." As they continued cleaning together, an unexpected, comfortable silence settled between them, filled with genuine warmth neither had anticipated. Marco found himself studying Sophia curiously, surprised by the unfamiliar, comfortable ease he felt in her presence. Something he hadn't experienced in years. Suddenly realizing how closely they knelt together, Marco quickly composed himself, standing abruptly, his usual controlled composure returning rapidly. "I should return to my work," he said quickly, clearing his throat awkwardly. Sophia nodded. The curiosity and warmth lingered in her thoughtful expression as she watched Marco retreat quickly from the room, clearly unsettled by the unexpected, genuine connection they had just shared. For the first time in 3 years, Marco Bianchi found himself completely unable to ignore the unfamiliar, unsettling warmth steadily building within his carefully guarded heart. Marco spent the remainder of that day distracted, his usually sharp focus repeatedly drifting toward thoughts of Sophia's warm smile and genuine laughter. He found the unfamiliar distraction deeply unsettling, and accustomed to allowing anyone, especially someone from his own household staff, to occupy his thoughts so persistently. That evening, during a private meeting with his most trusted advisor, Enzo, Marco's distraction became increasingly obvious. "You seem distracted today," Enzo observed carefully, studying Marco's unusually thoughtful expression. Marco shook his head quickly, attempting to dismiss his advisor's astute observation. "Just business matters," he said dismissively, though clearly unconvincing. Enzo studied him skeptically, having known Marco long enough to recognize clearly when something personal troubled him. "Does this have anything to do with the new maid everyone's been discussing?" Marco's expression tightened defensively. "Everyone's discussing her." Enzo chuckled softly, amused by Marco's clearly defensive reaction. "The staff has noticed a change in your demeanor since her arrival. It's the talk of the household." Marco frowned, uncomfortable with the unexpected attention surrounding his private, unfamiliar feelings. "There's nothing to discuss," he insisted firmly. "She simply knew, and adjusting to her presence takes time." Enzo raised an eyebrow skeptically, but wisely chose not to press further, sensing clearly Marco's discomfort with the sensitive topic. Over the following days, Marco made deliberate efforts to maintain strict professional distance from Sophia, avoiding unnecessary interactions, and reminding himself firmly of the painful lessons learned from Isabella's betrayal years earlier. Yet despite his best efforts, he found himself unable to ignore the persistent warmth and curiosity steadily building whenever Sophia was nearby. One afternoon, as Marco reviewed important documents within his private study, Sophia entered quietly to deliver fresh coffee, her cheerful presence immediately brightening the room's usually tense, serious atmosphere. "I brought your coffee, Mr. Bianchi," Sophia said warmly. Carefully placing the cup on his desk, Marco glanced up briefly, attempting to maintain professional composure despite the familiar warmth stirring unexpectedly within his chest. "Thank you, Sophia." Sophia lingered momentarily, curiosity evident in her thoughtful expression. "You seem tense lately," she observed gently. "Is everything all right?" Marco hesitated, surprised by her genuine concern. "Business matters," he replied simply, though his guarded expression softened slightly under her caring gaze. Sophia studied him carefully, sensing clearly there was more beneath his controlled, serious demeanor. "If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm a good listener," she offered sincerely. Marco felt an unfamiliar warmth spreading gently through his chest at her genuine kindness. "That's very thoughtful of you, Sophia," he admitted quietly. Surprised by his own unexpected vulnerability, Sophia smiled warmly before quietly excusing herself, leaving Marco alone with his unsettled, unfamiliar emotions. He sat quietly for several long moments, reflecting deeply on the unexpected warmth and comfort Sophia's genuine kindness consistently provided. Despite his persistent efforts to maintain emotional distance, later that evening, as Marco walked through the mansion's quiet halls, he unexpectedly encountered Sophia again, this time in the mansion's peaceful garden, humming softly to herself as she watered flowers beneath the gentle evening light. "You're here late," Marco observed, approaching cautiously, curiosity evident despite his attempts at maintaining professional distance. Sophia turned, smiling warmly upon seeing him. "I love gardens in the evening," she admitted honestly. "It's peaceful, especially after a busy day." Marco nodded slowly, finding himself unexpectedly comfortable in her calm, genuine presence. "I understand completely," he said quietly. "I often find peace here myself." They stood together silently for a moment, comfortable warmth settling naturally between them, despite Marco's persistent internal struggle against his growing feelings. Sophia glanced curiously toward him, sensing clearly his internal conflict. "You seem guarded, Mr. Bianchi," she said gently, "almost as if you're afraid to let people get close." Marco tensed slightly, surprised by her perceptive, direct observation. "It's complicated," he admitted honestly, unable to fully mask the vulnerability in his voice. Sophia studied him thoughtfully, genuine compassion evident in her warm expression. "You don't have to explain if you're not comfortable," she said gently. "But I want you to know, I'm not here to judge you or to hurt you." Marco felt his carefully guarded composure slipping slightly, moved deeply by her genuine sincerity. "Thank you, Sophia," he said softly, his voice carrying unfamiliar vulnerability. "That means more than you probably realize." Their quiet, meaningful moment was interrupted suddenly by the sound of urgent footsteps approaching quickly. Enzo rushed into the garden, his expression tense and alarmed. "Marco," Enzo said urgently, "we have a serious problem. The Moretti family has made an unexpected move against our territory." Marco's expression shifted instantly into sharp, controlled alertness, his brief moment of vulnerability replaced quickly by serious, focused determination. "What kind of move?" Enzo hesitated slightly before responding, his voice grave. "They've kidnapped one of our men, demanding a meeting to discuss territorial boundaries." Under threat of further violence, Marco's jaw tightened, controlled anger evident beneath his composed exterior. "Prepare my car immediately," he instructed firmly, quickly transitioning back into his serious, authoritative role as Mafia Boss. As Marco turned to leave, he paused briefly, glancing back toward Sophia, genuine concern flickering behind his controlled, serious expression. "Stay safe, Sophia," he said quietly, his voice carrying unmistakable sincerity despite his hurried departure. Sophia nodded, watching him leave with growing concern, suddenly aware of the dangerous complexities surrounding Marco's powerful, often perilous world. Marco arrived quickly at the designated meeting location, his expression cold and controlled. Though thoughts of Sophia's genuine concern lingered persistently in the back of his mind, Enzo accompanied him closely, along with several trusted guards. All prepared carefully for the tense negotiation ahead. The Moretti family's leader, Vincent Moretti, waited calmly at the neutral location, his expression calculating and confident. "Marco," Vincent greeted smoothly, "thank you for arriving so promptly." "Release my man immediately," Marco demanded firmly, his controlled anger evident beneath his composed exterior. "Then we'll discuss your concerns regarding territorial boundaries." Vincent studied Marco carefully, clearly testing his patience and resolve. "Patience, Marco. Business arrangements require careful discussion first." Marco's jaw tightened, though he maintained careful composure, aware clearly of the dangerous complexity surrounding hostage negotiations. "What exactly do you want, Vincent?" Vincent outlined his demands clearly, requesting a portion of Marco's profitable territory in exchange for peaceful relations and the safe return of his captured man. Marco listened carefully, his sharp mind quickly analyzing the situation, searching for a resolution that avoided unnecessary violence while protecting his organization's interests. After tense negotiation, Marco reluctantly agreed to a compromise, sacrificing a smaller, less valuable territory in exchange for his man's immediate release and assurance of peaceful relations moving forward. Though frustrated by the forced concession, Marco recognized clearly the wisdom of avoiding unnecessary conflict, especially considering recent personal distractions weighing heavily on his mind. As the tense negotiation concluded and his captured associate was safely returned, Marco returned quickly to his estate, exhaustion evident beneath his controlled, serious demeanor. Despite the successful resolution, his thoughts drifted persistently back towards Sophia, curious and concerned about her reaction to tonight's dangerous events. Arriving back at the mansion late that evening, Marco found Sophia waiting anxiously near the entrance, clearly worried by his prolonged absence. "You're safe," she said softly, relief evident in her warm, caring expression. Marco nodded, surprised by the genuine concern reflected clearly in her eyes. "I'm fine," he assured her gently. "Thank you for waiting." Sophia studied him carefully, sensing clearly the tension and exhaustion evident beneath his composed exterior. "Would you like to talk about what happened?" she asked gently. "Sometimes sharing burdens helps ease the weight." Marco hesitated, unaccustomed to openly discussing his dangerous responsibilities with anyone outside his trusted inner circle. Yet something about Sophia's genuine warmth and sincerity made him unexpectedly willing to share more than he typically allowed himself. There was a conflict with a rival family, Marco admitted quietly, guiding Sophia toward a quiet sitting area within the mansion. "It's resolved now, though it required difficult compromises." Sophia listened attentively, genuine concern and understanding evident in her thoughtful expression. "That sounds incredibly stressful," she said softly. "I'm glad you're safe." Marco studied her carefully, moved deeply by her genuine compassion and warmth. "Thank you, Sophia. Your concern means more than you realize." Their conversation continued softly, deepening naturally into comfortable, meaningful silence as they sat together. Mutual warmth and understanding steadily growing between them, despite Marco's persistent internal struggle against his emotional vulnerability. "Can I ask you something personal?" Sophia said quietly, curiosity evident in her gentle voice. "Of course," Marco replied, surprised by his own willingness to allow such personal conversation. "Why do you avoid personal relationships so strongly?" Sophia asked carefully. "The other staff mentioned you've kept everyone at a distance for years." Marco considered her question seriously, vulnerability flickering briefly behind his controlled expression. "Years ago, someone I trusted deeply betrayed me completely," he admitted honestly. "She used our relationship simply to gather information for a rival family. Sophia's expression softened with genuine empathy. "That must have been incredibly painful," she said softly. Marco nodded slowly, surprised by his own openness. "It was. Since then I've avoided personal relationships entirely, believing it safer to remain guarded and distant." Sophia studied him thoughtfully, genuine sincerity evident in her caring gaze. "I understand your caution, Marco, but not everyone is capable of such betrayal. Sometimes genuine connection is worth the risk." Marco felt his carefully guarded composure slipping further, deeply moved by Sophia's genuine wisdom and compassion. "You may be right," he admitted softly, surprising even himself with his vulnerability. Their meaningful conversation was interrupted gently by the late hour, though neither seemed eager to end their comfortable, genuine connection. As Sophia prepared to retire for the evening, Marco found himself unexpectedly reaching for her hand. Gently stopping her departure, "Sophia," he said softly, sincerity evident in his intense gaze, "thank you for tonight, for listening, and for your genuine kindness." Sophia smiled warmly, gently squeezing his hand in return. "Any time, Marco. I'm here whenever you need someone to talk to." As Sophia departed quietly, Marco remained alone, reflecting deeply on the unfamiliar warmth and vulnerability steadily growing within his carefully guarded heart. Uncertain exactly how to navigate the unexpected, meaningful connection developing between them. Over the following weeks, Marco found himself increasingly unable to maintain the careful emotional distance he had once considered essential to his guarded lifestyle. Sophia's genuine warmth and unwavering kindness steadily broke through walls he had spent 3 long years carefully constructing, leaving him both unsettled and unexpectedly grateful for the change. Their conversations grew more frequent, deepening naturally into comfortable, meaningful exchanges filled with genuine laughter, thoughtful discussion, and quiet moments of shared understanding. Marco found himself looking forward to Sophia's cheerful presence throughout each day, a stark contrast to his previously isolated, controlled routine. One afternoon, as Sophia organized fresh flowers within the mansion's elegant foyer, Marco approached quietly, watching her work with genuine admiration and unfamiliar warmth. "You have a talent for bringing life into this place," he observed softly. Sophia glanced up, smiling warmly at his unexpected compliment. "Thank you, Marco. This mansion deserves a little more warmth and color, don't you think?" Marco nodded thoughtfully, considering her words carefully. "It certainly felt different since you arrived," he admitted honestly. "Warmer, somehow." Sophia blushed slightly, genuine happiness evident in her expression. "I'm glad I could help, even in small ways." Their comfortable exchange was interrupted gently by Mrs. Alvarez, who approached cautiously, her expression clearly concerned. "Mr. Bianchi," she said carefully, "may I speak with you privately?" Marco nodded, sensing immediately the serious tone behind her cautious request. Once alone, Mrs. Alvarez expressed her genuine concern regarding Marco's increasingly obvious closeness with Sophia. "Sir, I don't mean to overstep," Mrs. Alvarez began carefully, "but your growing relationship with Sophia has become quite noticeable among the staff. Given your past experience, I simply want to ensure you're proceeding cautiously." Marco considered her genuine concern seriously, appreciating her loyalty and thoughtful caution. "I understand your concern, Mrs. Alvarez," he replied honestly, "but Sophia's genuine kindness and authenticity are nothing like Isabella's calculated deception. I believe wholeheartedly in her sincerity." Mrs. Alvarez studied him carefully, respecting clearly his confident, thoughtful response. "I trust your judgment, sir. I simply wanted to ensure you've considered the risks carefully." Marco nodded gratefully, appreciating her genuine loyalty and concern. "Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez. Your concern means a great deal." As days passed, Marco's growing feelings toward Sophia became increasingly difficult to ignore, despite his lingering hesitation regarding vulnerability and emotional risk. One peaceful evening, as they shared a quiet dinner together within the mansion's private garden, Marco found himself finally ready to openly acknowledge his genuine feelings. "Sophia," he began softly, sincerity evident in his intense gaze, These past few weeks with you have shown me something I hadn't realized I was missing. Sophia studied him curiously, warmth and anticipation clear in her gentle expression. What's that, Marco? Marco took a deep breath, vulnerability evident behind his usually controlled demeanor. Genuine connection, warmth and happiness, qualities I believed I'd lost completely after Isabella's betrayal. Sophia's heart swelled with genuine happiness, moved deeply by his heartfelt admission. I felt that connection too, Marco, she admitted softly. From the very beginning, actually. Marco reached gently for her hand, warmth and sincerity evident in his intense gaze. Sophia, I care for you deeply, genuinely, more than I ever expected to feel again. Tears of happiness gathered gently in Sophia's eyes, moved deeply by his sincere confession. I care for you deeply too, Marco, she whispered softly. Their tender, meaningful moment was suddenly interrupted by urgent, unexpected news delivered quickly by one of Marco's guards. Sir, the guard reported anxiously, we've received troubling information. Isabella has returned to the city. Marco's expression shifted instantly from warmth into serious, controlled alertness. Isabella, why would she return now? The guard hesitated slightly before responding. Our informant suggests she's seeking reconciliation, claiming she's changed significantly since her betrayal 3 years ago. Marco's jaw tightened, conflicting emotions evident beneath his controlled exterior. Sophia watched carefully, concern and uncertainty evident in her thoughtful expression. Unsure exactly how Isabella's unexpected return might affect their newly discovered, genuine connection. What do you intend to do? Sophia asked cautiously, anxiety clear beneath her calm exterior. Marco considered the unexpected situation carefully, his sharp mind quickly weighing multiple complicated possibilities. I need to understand clearly why she's returned, he said seriously, before deciding how best to proceed. The following morning, Marco arranged a cautious, carefully guarded meeting with Isabella, determined to understand clearly her true intentions behind returning so unexpectedly after 3 years of complete silence. Sophia remained anxiously at the estate, uncertain exactly how this unexpected reunion might affect the genuine connection she and Marco had only recently acknowledged. Isabella arrived at the neutral meeting location precisely on time, her expression calm, though clearly nervous beneath her composed exterior. Marco, she greeted softly, thank you for agreeing to see me. Marco studied her carefully, guarded caution evident despite his controlled demeanor. You said you wanted reconciliation, Isabella. Explain clearly why you've returned after 3 years. Isabella hesitated, genuine remorse evident in her thoughtful expression. I've spent these past 3 years reflecting deeply on my mistakes. Marco, betraying your trust was the worst decision I've ever made. And I've carried that guilt every single day since. Marco listened carefully, though skepticism remained evident beneath his controlled exterior. Guilt doesn't erase betrayal, Isabella. Why come back now specifically? Isabella took a deep breath, vulnerability evident in her careful words. I recently learned my involvement with the rival family who orchestrated our betrayal has fully unraveled. They've been exposed and dismantled completely by law enforcement. I no longer owe them any loyalty or obligation, and I wanted the opportunity to genuinely apologize and perhaps explore whether reconciliation might still be possible. Marco considered her explanation carefully, his sharp mind analyzing every detail for potential deception. And what exactly are you hoping for, Isabella? Isabella met his gaze directly, sincerity evident despite her obvious nervousness. I'm hoping for forgiveness, Marco. And perhaps, eventually, a chance to rebuild what we once had together. Marco felt conflicting emotions rising within him, memories of past pain mixing uncomfortably with genuine curiosity regarding Isabella's apparent sincerity. Yet thoughts of Sophia's genuine warmth and authentic kindness lingered persistently in his mind, providing clarity amid his complicated emotions. Isabella, Marco said finally, his voice steady and controlled, I appreciate your honesty and your apology. But too much has changed since then. I've moved forward, and my heart now belongs to someone else. Isabella's expression shifted subtly, disappointment evident despite her attempt at composure. "The new maid?" she asked carefully, clearly aware of recent rumors circulating regarding Marco's growing closeness with Sophia. Marco nodded firmly, sincerity evident in his intense gaze. "Yes, Isabella. Sophia has shown me genuine kindness, warmth, and authenticity, qualities I deeply value and trust completely." Isabella studied him carefully, clearly disappointed, though she nodded slowly, accepting his firm, honest response. "I understand, Marco. I truly am sorry for the pain I caused you. I hope genuinely that you find happiness with her." Marco appreciated her sincere acknowledgement, relief evident beneath his controlled exterior. "Thank you, Isabella. I wish you well, genuinely, in whatever comes next for you." As their meeting concluded peacefully, Marco felt a comforting sense of closure, finally releasing the lingering pain and guardedness that had defined his emotional life for the past 3 years. Returning quickly to his estate, he found Sophia anxiously waiting, clearly worried about the outcome of his unexpected meeting. "How did it go?" Sophia asked immediately, anxiety evident in her gentle voice. Marco smiled warmly, relief and genuine happiness evident in his intense gaze. "It went well, Sophia. Isabella wanted closure and forgiveness, nothing more. I've made it clear my heart belongs to you now." Sophia felt relief and happiness flooding through her entire body, moved deeply by his sincere reassurance. "I'm so glad, Marco, truly." Marco reached gently for her hand, warmth and sincerity evident in his intense expression. "Sophia, this entire experience has shown me clearly how genuine, meaningful connection is worth every risk. I don't want to waste another moment hesitating about my true feelings for you." Sophia's heart swelled with genuine happiness, anticipation evident in her warm smile. "What are you saying, Marco?" Marco took a deep breath, vulnerability evident behind his usually controlled demeanor. "I'm saying, Sophia, that I've fallen deeply, genuinely in love with you." Sophia stood quietly for a moment, Marco's heartfelt confession settling warmly over her heart. After weeks of careful, guarded connection, hearing genuine, sincere love from a man who had once seemed so emotionally distant felt like everything falling perfectly into place. "I love you too, Marco," she said softly, her voice steady with quiet certainty. "I think I have for a while now." Marco's expression softened into genuine relief and happiness, pulling her gently closer, their embrace warm and comforting beneath the peaceful evening sky. For the first time in 3 long years, Marco felt completely free from the guarded walls that had once protected, yet also isolated his heart so completely. Over the following months, life at Bianchi Manor transformed gradually into a warmer, more genuine environment, reflecting clearly the happiness steadily growing between Marco and Sophia. Staff members who had once whispered cautiously about Marco's cold, distant demeanor now smiled warmly, witnessing firsthand the genuine transformation Sophia's authentic kindness had brought into his life. Isabella, true to her word, quietly moved forward with her own life, occasionally sending brief, respectful messages wishing Marco continued happiness. Messages that Marco appreciated genuinely, grateful for the peaceful closure they had achieved together. Sophia's role within the household evolved naturally, her genuine warmth and authenticity earning deep respect and admiration from everyone she encountered. Mrs. Alvarez, initially cautious about Marco's growing closeness with Sophia, gradually became one of their most enthusiastic supporters. Delighted by the genuine happiness and warmth Sophia had brought into Marco's previously guarded life. One sunny afternoon, several months after their meaningful confession of love, Marco invited Sophia to the same peaceful garden where their genuine connection had first blossomed meaningfully. "You seem thoughtful today," Sophia observed, noticing Marco's unusually reflective, nervous expression as they walked slowly through the familiar garden paths. "I have something important to ask you," Marco admitted, his usual calm confidence replaced momentarily by genuine, heartfelt nervousness. Before Sophia could respond, Marco knelt down gently, revealing a small, elegant ring. His sharp eyes filled with genuine love and hopeful anticipation. Sophia, from the very first afternoon I heard you humming quietly in my study, you brought warmth, authenticity, and genuine happiness into a life I believed had become permanently guarded and isolated. You've shown me that true strength isn't found in emotional distance, but in genuine vulnerability, connection, and love. I want to spend the rest of my life protecting you, cherishing you, and building a genuine, loving future together. Will you marry me? Tears of overwhelming joy filled Sophia's eyes as she nodded eagerly, her heart overflowing with genuine happiness and love. Yes, she whispered softly. Absolutely, completely yes, Marco smiled warmly, gently sliding the beautiful ring onto her finger before pulling her into a loving, joyful embrace. Both of them finally free to embrace genuine happiness after years of guarded isolation and unexpected, meaningful connection. Their wedding, held peacefully several months later within the same beautiful garden where their unexpected journey had first begun, symbolized far more than simple romantic love. It represented genuine transformation, vulnerability, and the powerful strength found through authenticity, patience, and unconditional love. Enzo, Mrs. Alvarez, and the entire household staff attended joyfully, genuinely grateful for the remarkable transformation they had witnessed unfold between their once guarded employer and his genuine, loving bride, as Marco and Sophia stood together during their joyful wedding reception, celebrating happily among cherished friends and staff members who had become like family throughout their journey. Sophia reflected deeply on how dramatically Marco's life had transformed since that clumsy, unexpected first day she arrived at Bianchi Manor. Any regrets? Marco asked softly, echoing gently the meaningful question that had become cherished throughout their relationship. Sophia smiled warmly, leaning comfortably against her husband, deeply grateful for the extraordinary journey that had transformed both their lives so completely. Not a single one, she whispered, gratitude and love clear in her voice. Every moment led me exactly here to you. Marco pulled her closer, warmth and love evident in his gentle, sincere smile. Then let's ensure every moment moving forward is filled with nothing but genuine happiness, warmth, and unconditional love. As their wedding celebration continued joyfully beneath the peaceful evening sky, Marco understood clearly that sometimes the most unexpected connections lead toward the most meaningful, beautiful futures. Futures built on genuine authenticity, patience, and love strong enough to transform even the most guarded, wounded hearts into ones capable of loving completely and fearlessly once again.